What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show. How do you determine what's new and what's old?
Well, I mean, you'll have someone who's just inherently wise, very mature for their age, very like balanced. They're like really different than other people. They seem like they have knowledge that's really profound. And there's
but what if they were born into a broken household? Their dad was an alcoholic. They had to take care of their mom.
Totally.
And then they were self-educated. They had 140 IQ, and then suddenly they learned all these lessons at age 10 that no one else had to. And by the time they were 18, they'd already been a father to their younger siblings, and so they're wise at 25.
Oh, that's obviously a factor. But what about like what we carry from other lifetimes? There wouldn't be a purpose of it doing it over and over again if we didn't bring something back. What's the point? What's the point? The point is, it's like a game. I think the game is that we come here and forget everything and don't know anything. And then look, we're in this world where it's like the Truman Show, where it's like kind of fake. And we're like, this is kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
But that's what's so beautiful about it. It's like, can you take this divine being that doesn't know anything about who it is anymore and has been controlled through war and other mechanisms, can it somehow, through the unexpected, somehow make it? Like, it seems like an amazing movie. That's the only way I can describe it, is so for instance, if you're powerful, if you were like omnipotent, you can do anything you want, the greatest thing you would be afraid of would be being bored. Mm-hmm. Being bored is literally like the most horrible thing you could ever imagine for anything, because it would be like being in hell, like religious term hell, right? So what you would have to do is you would have to create entertainment like we do. And the entertainment, though, you would not be able to know the outcome, because what's the point of watching a movie if you already know it's going to go, right? The point of a movie is that you watch it and you get grabbed into the story, and then a lot of times something unexpected will happen at the end. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. That's amazing, right? I didn't expect that to happen. I think that's our story. I think it's playing out like it's supposed to, right? Think about our story for a minute. What is our story? Well, if we take the ancients and all the evidence we have, we were somehow divinely created in the universe as some kind of powerful being. There was jealousy then that arose over it, and then we were almost destroyed in some catastrophe that was created, only for us to barely survive, and then the seed of us to carry on, and we rise up to become this powerful golden age civilizations that are creating temples and pyramids, only to be destroyed by a catastrophe and to forget nearly everything and have to start over again.
God damn, every time you need humans who survive too.
And then all of a sudden, at all costs, when it seems like the most impossibility of all things coming out of things like World War II and then the Cold War with nuclear weapons that can just annihilate all of us, what happens? We somehow make it. What a beautiful story.
It is.
And I think that our story truly is the greatest story ever told, and maybe that's the point.
Maybe. I mean, that's where it gets weird for me too, because we had talked last time about the underground system. What civilization was that in Turkey?
Kuyu.
Yeah. Where they had the shafts, basically.
Yeah.
And you said this could
living
be
underground.
Yeah, this could be catastrophe proof.
Yeah.
They could have lived down here for hundreds of years.
Exactly.
Right? So every time we've had these catastrophes, if let's say Lawrence Krauss is in the ballpark when he says somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 years ago, something like that, is when we separated from the ape gene. And
I would say he's more on track than most,
right,
for sure.
So either way, 100,000, 150, who the fuck?
Yeah, whatever.
Same deal,
1,
right?
2, somewhere in there.
Right, somewhere in there. All the catastrophes that have happened since then, humanity as a species, as an organism, needed to survive. It couldn't be like the Tasmanian devil, where the last one was in whatever it was, 1933 or something. Like, they're gone. You know, hopefully we're able to recreate that with some science here, but assuming
Poor
that
Dodo, right?
Right.
Poor Dodo.
Poor Dodo. But, you know, if each one of those times people survived, think about how advanced civilization got.
Yes.
And then these few, whether it's, I mean, if it's 10... You know,
well, there was definitely indigenous that were surviving too, so it's not just them,
right?
Yeah,
but and based on where they are in the world and the lack of or the communication that may have been able to occur based on whatever technology was that maybe we don't know about. let's say like right now, here's the best way to put it. Right now, the world ended and the three of us, along with 10 other people like us from America, maybe, we'll keep it all in the same country, survived. Think about all the stuff we know. All the stuff sitting in here right now, the technology we're aware of.
Compared to them not knowing anything. Right.
And none of us are engineers in this case.
We can't recreate it. We only know about it.
So we only know about it.
Exactly.
How would we teach our kids and make them understand if we can't turn it on? We probably can't. So once a generation gets maybe 2 generations away, maybe they're not at zero.
Right.
They're not at zero because there's some sort of human understanding that's been passed on that they're now going to create new texts and new stories, like their own Bible, if you will, or their own ancient Sumerian tablets, if you will. They're still at a birthplace point.
Right.
How many times might that have happened?
I think it's happened 2 to 3 times. And
that is wild.
And what's crazy about it though is that our story could have ended just like that. And every time it doesn't. I don't think we're supposed to disappear.
Why?
Well, because we're connected to them. Our looks like our karma, that chain, remember? I think our future is intertwined with theirs. We are them, they are us, we are part of something.
And where were they from?
That's the question. When you start trying to figure that out, it gets really, really deep. Because I don't think we or they are what most people, even that study it, are. And now let me give you my conclusion that I've had to come to, and it's really difficult to come to this, but again, like that quote I just told you from the Sherlock's home quote, the only thing that makes sense when you eliminate all the other ones that don't is that look at how angels and demons are described in later religions, okay? Right? They're sort of like helping, some are bad, whatever. We see that context throughout the world, this idea of like angels and demons influencing our reality, right? They describe in all the tablets as coming here and creating everything. They don't say they came and found like Earth, like a beautiful place. No, actually the complete opposite. They talk about coming here and fighting against the natural forces that were like out of control. Like imagine an Earth that had gone through different events and for like maybe thousands and thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, whatever it was. Imagine a planet that was like no life, volcanoes going off everywhere, just like a.
And they tamed it.
Imagine a planet like Venus or something, or not having a terrestrial planet though, but. That's the only thing that makes sense. Like if you read the Enuma Ish and others, like with George's clip, Chaldean account of Genesis, I told you backwards and forwards, George Smith, it's like they're somehow related to creation in the universe. Let that sit with you for a second. Imagine there's a prime creator. Okay, this is how they describe it in the tablets. Imagine there's a prime creator that it's like the underbelly of everything. The golden ratio, the balance of nature and harmony, and they describe that as being God. That's what God is to them, is nature and the balance in everything, right? Well, in the Christian texts and other ones, they talk a lot about creation though, right? And people are like, oh my God, you're a creationist? That's insane, right? I'm not a creationist. I'm trying to explain something though. The way that they say it in every time, there's only one way they say it, is they describe it as more like manifesting things here, right? That's what they describe it as, like they can just create whatever they want. And that maybe the reason why we're so powerful and why I can have a thought to call Julian Dorey and why Julian Dorey all of a sudden has that thought in his head is because we are creators too. We just don't know it. And we don't understand it. And we're like children.
Creators how?
Well, I think we're like children right now. I think we're like children, like you just said. We're like banging on stuff. We're like,
as a civilization?
Yeah,
like,
as humanity. Yeah, we're like children. And we're like, what does this do? And we're like, I don't care if we have technology or man. We don't know anything about the universe. We're like, whatever. Like we're kids with big guns.
Big nukes.
Right. But imagine though, is that we have a lot of things dormant within us, their DNA and within us that we don't remember and that has been lost long ago. If you have a number of, like, let me give you an example. If you are someone who practices a skill like your whole life, you can actually pass that genetically. Athletes have often been shown to pass some genetic skills to children in ways where, like, they're just really good at baseball like their dad is, right? Maybe that's a purely genetic thing, but
has to do with their hand-eye coordination.
That's
stuff
exactly.
Like that.
But what if there's a whole nother side of it, though? What if there are all these things that we don't remember how to do? Like you said, we're those kids that haven't learned how to do any of those things yet. And that all these things that are happening are so that we can grow up. And that part of us living in these lives and being here is to grow up as a soul, because you know that phrase where with great power comes great responsibility?
Yeah, Peter Parker's uncle.
I think that's us. I think that we're not allowed to achieve what we can until we're ready. I think we're too immature. I think we're too small-minded. I think we're too childlike. And I think that that's a collective understanding of when our consciousness can finally be ready and we can get to a place where we can be.
That's your working theory on it.
Is that once we can get to that place, we're going to see an acceleration in humanity that's going to lead us down a path that maybe we don't necessarily expect. Like, rather than just getting these high-tech spaceships and all this technology, like, what if the real journey is about going inward to these high states of consciousness, and then maybe we can travel like anywhere in the universe instantly, because consciousness is not localized. And then we're looking at that's
gonna get weird.
We're going to become. I think we're going to eventually. Here, I'll just throw this out there, but I think we're going to eventually become, or have the choice to become, non-physical.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.